So how you doing, Isaac?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Feel a little off. Home coffee is the brew.
The brew.
The brew. Something's sitting wrong.
The witch's brew.
I don't know what it is. I think I'm just tired.
Yeah.
I'm ready for Christmas break.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that having like 4 days off for Thanksgiving showed me, it's that I need more than 4 days off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, because the first 2 days are... Well, they're relaxing and they're great times off, but they aren't recharge days.
No.
Because...
You do something with your family.
Thursday and Friday were basically family and friend stuff. I forget what even happened on Friday, but I know something did. Because I erased it from my memory and decided to just put that away for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then I think Saturday was a chill day, but I need like 4 chill days.
I totally understand.
Because, again, I'm a lazy son of a bitch. And if I don't have my time to just sit around and do nothing but play Bloons Tower Defense, I get salty and just tired. And that game, dude.
Yeah.
So I've had a tablet for like a year and a half, 2 years now.
Oh, what kind do you...
Matt had it. To start, he kind of pointed me in the direction because the laptop I had from my college, because they gave all the fresh. I paid for it with my tuition, but it wasn't out of pocket, which was fine.
Yeah,
and it was a really nice laptop for what it was at the start, but then it turned to shit real quick,
just from having things on it.
A combination of just use, and out of all the pieces of technology I've ever owned, that laptop had the shortest lifespan of any of them. Its hard drive, nothing really died on it permanently, but it slowed down so much so quickly.
Yeah.
Like, day one was its best day. And the only other good day it had was when through our college we got everyone, if you wanted, you could go and get a Windows 7 update. And that was the second best day. Because that thing started on Vista.
Right.
So, yeah, it was a little unfortunate. But yeah, so the tablet, it's a Tegra Note 4, I think is what it's called. Basically, there's a processor that NVIDIA came out with called the Tegra. And it was supposed to be a really powerful, mobile processor. Wow. Oh, it's a bot. Okay.
It's all bots. When the servers are unpopulated, it throws bots in.
Gotcha. So... They basically, I think they asked EVGA. I always want to call them EVGA, but I think that's wrong. Yeah. EVGA.
I do the same thing.
They made this tablet to kind of showcase the processor, and it was cheap. It was $200.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to buy a laptop because I've got my desktop, and all I need a tablet to do is surf the web. That's really what I use it for.
Right.
And that is 90% of what I use it for.
Yeah.
But I had one that had a good processor, and the purpose for me with that was to get something that would have some longevity to it.
Yeah.
So, because with mobile devices, your processor is probably the most significant thing about how long your device is going to keep up with the constant updates, constant moving forward.
Sure.
So, it's stood up. The worst, I thought it was going for a while, and then I discovered that the Facebook app is a piece of shit.
Oh, yeah.
And it just destroyed the performance of it over time.
Yes.
Once I got rid of that, it was back up and running to about where it was when I bought it. So it's been a really good investment. It was a great one. I think they've come up with a newer, NVIDIA always has, I think they've got their Shield tablet now, which is their gaming tablet that they tote. But if anything, it's a cheap way in the tablet world to ensure that your tablet will hold up over time.
Yeah.
And it's got some other neat features. It has a stylus and a whole, built-in, which is great for you have a program, I think Google eventually came out with one that I use now, but for a while I had an app that was essentially replace your keyboard. It replaced, because I hate typing.
Is it gesture drawing?
No, I hate typing on touchscreen devices.
I'm with you.
I am looking forward to, but I'm not looking forward to eventually moving to a smartphone where I don't have physical keys. Yeah. And that'll teach me to do it with texting and everything.
It gets easier. I was the same way when I first started using it, and I'm using an iPhone, so it's not, it's not exactly rocket science. It dumps it down to a pretty good level.
Now, if there's one thing Apple has always gotten right, it's user interface.
Yeah, and it helps, because again, I came into smartphones basically blind, and then you get there, but it is kind of a weird learning period where you're just like, this feels different not having the tactile sense of.
Yeah. So I'll
I
adjust
miss
to that in time. But what I was able to do for like fast taking notes and stuff, because I decided to use this thing for more education than I ever used my computer at college for.
Yeah.
Is I replaced the keyboard with it's basically a have you ever messed with like write to input as text, where you write
only a little,
and it translates what you're writing to text.
And does it the text pretty well?
It works flawlessly.
Really?
Once you learn the one or two little hitches with like spacing and capitalization, it works so well.
And how neat is your handwriting to begin with? Like,
it doesn't. You can be so. I've been surprised. It's one of those things where you're like, "Wow, we live in the future." And it's like a simple thing that most people would go, "Oh yeah, of course it does that." I'm like, "No, you don't understand. I can write the most chicken scratch doctor handwriting ever, and it'll still know that I wanted to say get bagels on Wednesday."
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It is pretty darn great.
Only on Wednesdays bagels.
Only on Wednesdays for the bagels. So. Yeah, I forget what I was even talking about this.
Bloons. The game.
I have a couple mobile games.
So it's Bloons.
Most of them were free.
Not Doubloons.
It's Bloons Tower Defense, which I played back when the first one was out as like a Flash game, and most of them were all Flash games up until I think they decided to make an app. 4 might have been an app as well, but they basically moved them, and it's a tower defense game, and it's the best one I've ever played. In the sense of it's just like I want to sit down and have fun with a tower defense. It's not.
Yeah.
It has the potential to have higher level strategy, but it's also really easy, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If you want it to be. So it's a good mindless game. I love it. I did pay for it, but if you have an Android device, you really need to get on Google Play Rewards, which is a very neat app, which is basically you download the app and it asks you and sends you surveys, and none of them have ever taken me more than 10 seconds to finish.
Really?
And they give you play credit.
Oh, sure.
Like a couple cents. I think I got $1 one time, and it just builds up over time. So you can just buy, you don't have to actually spend your own money. You just build up this slowly, and then if you're interested in an app or anything through the Google Play services, movies, books, that type of thing, you can spend that credit. I think I got up to $5 before I bought the Bloons app.
That's awesome.
So, and that's been like a couple months of using it, just on and off.
Yeah.
And it probably doesn't send me surveys as often as... because it'll send you surveys kind of tailored to what it learns about you. That's the thing you have to be okay with.
Okay.
You have to be okay that
you
it
basically
kind of
are
learns.
selling your personal information.
Yeah,
you're basically
selling your personal information and preferences. And some of the surveys won't pay you anything. And some of them, I think I did one time that was usually you'll see 10 cents or so maybe for a survey. That's a couple questions. I did one time that was one question, and I must have answered it wrong. Or it was just a one-question survey, and it gave me $1, and I was like, "What the heck?" Okay,
they just really wanted to know.
They really wanted to know. Yeah.
What were they asking?
I don't even remember.
That's what I want. That's
what I said. They're so mindless. I'm just like, it generally is do you use this product? Have you ever shopped here?
Yeah.
It's very much consumerism set.
And that.
If it started asking me, "Are you a white man?" I'd be like,
if you,
I'm uncomfortable.
If you're an advertiser, though, that kind of information is hard to get from people and invaluable because you have no way to track how well your product does for the most part, except for sales.
So it's a great system they set up that I'm comfortable with. Like I said, if it starts asking me about political, religious, or race affiliations, I might get a little sketch.
Yeah.
But until then, it's just asking me,
do
you prefer to shop at blah, 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 or at the mer? And if you answer either one, you get money. So I'm okay with that. So, that's been pretty good. But Bloons is good if you like tower defense. If you ever played the best tower defense game of all time, which I don't know if it has an app, but it was desktop tower defense. Did you ever play that?
I remember
tabletop?
it.
Was it tabletop or desktop?
No, I think it was desktop. There might have been both, but I remember desktop.
Crappy little animations, little towers, but the sound effects were
yeah, it was all made with the mouth.
Yeah, somebody made it with their mouth. Oh, it was great.
It was hand drawn too, right?
Yeah, it was hand drawn. It was
not
pretty
sprites,
great.
But, yeah.
So yeah, I love a decent tower defense game, and Bloons is probably the best one on Android in general right now. I would say. Yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing in my spare time. I'm still rocking through Fallout.
How you liking it?
My opinions have changed a little bit.
So only because I haven't played this game, but I'm not super concerned about spoilers.
Well, I'm not going to talk about the story.
No. But what are you what type of activities have you been doing? You know what I mean? Like,
shooting people.
Really?
The something I saw in an article or two that popped up, and it's what a lot of people who are hardcore Fallout fans, which like I've said multiple times, I played a little bit of 3, but not much.
Right. You weren't as invested in the series.
I'm not as invested in the series. So the game, what I'm seeing is, and honestly what I feel like, if I had to compare the game to any other existing game, it would not be a Fallout title. It would be Borderlands. I would compare Fallout 4 very closely to Borderlands, because that's what it feels like.
That's very interesting.
And it's, in terms of mechanics, it's great.
Yeah.
Gunplay feels solid. Using VATS feels wonderful. It feels good.
That's awesome to hear.
But for those who really liked the very hardcore RPG elements of 3 and New Vegas...
Is that dumbed down a little bit?
It is very dumbed down. Because what's really has happened is your only option to interact with the world is, yes, you have your whole story that you're going through, and because you're voiced, a lot of people, I've told you, had issues with the dialogue system, and that there aren't that many choices.
Right.
That extends into your experience, though, because basically, since you're playing a scripted game, you're playing the part that they put out for you.
Right.
And because I play Mass Effect, this is fine for me, because in Mass Effect, you were always playing the same scripted out story. You were either just an angel or an asshole about it.
I see. So, okay.
And it's
interesting that you say that, because, again, I haven't played this yet. So,
Now,
when you played 3 and New Vegas, you did have a lot of freedom to kind of be whatever character you wanted to be, and you could just run around and do whatever. But honestly, those games were very clunky and unpolished in a lot of ways, and if this is the sacrifice into making it more streamlined, I'm okay with that. And again, I haven't played it. I'd like to play it before I really make a call.
You can see why that happened.
Yeah.
They did that to sell to more people.
I just picked up New Vegas on sale, and... Or was it gold? I don't remember if it was the gold game or if it was like $3 or something. It was, But I went back and was playing it again, and it's great. Like, there's a lot of cool things about it, but it really is like there's a lot of manual labor.
It doesn't feel mainstream, and a lot of people who are hardcore fans of the series, that's what they loved about it. So they're pissed off.
At the time, too, people thought that Fallout 3 and New Vegas were dumbed down versions of old Fallout. So it's always going to progress in that direction.
Yeah, it's a constant argument that it just happens, and I'm still having fun with it. I feel like what I would have liked is a little more like to be the character I want to be,
right?
Versus, because the one thing is you're supposed to care about your son, right? The whole main plot is I'm supposed to care that my son is out there somewhere. And I found myself very quickly giving more of a crap about the railroad and the other groups in the game than the fact that I'm trying to find my son.
3 was a little bit like that, because the first half of the game you're looking for your dad, who left the vault before you.
Right.
And it felt a little like that in parts where you're just like, I'm not really so worried about finding my dad now. There's so many other things happening that I just kind of... Which, honestly, is kind of... I don't want to say the point, but it gives you the freedom to not care about the story if you don't care about the story.
Right, and you have that freedom to some extent.
Yeah.
I actually did, though, run into my first, what I would call, like... Because you have you always had your faction quests. Right. And I've been working with the Railroad, which basically they're like the synthetics that the Institute creates, which are, the androids, essentially.
Oh,
You're just like, free these guys. Yeah, they've got personality, so I'm basically, going to welcome in the robot apocalypse of the future. Whatever. I've just found them to be the most interesting faction I ran into, so I decided to work with them. And, oh man, looks like you're lagging.
It happens. Probably the host left.
But I decided to go with them, and I was going through doing their quests. They've got, there's this one guy who constantly wants to set up weather monitoring equipment, weather or something Commonwealth monitoring equipment, which basically he's the oh wow, I was gonna have a really witty line about that and I completely screwed it up. Anyway, he's the future greenie of... He's like future green movement type guy.
Oh, okay.
Even though that's not what it is, but that's what it feels like. Go set this up, and so each faction probably has their like there are almost an infinite number of these. I bet there aren't an infinite number of these quests, but it's go here, place this thing, come back. Go here, place this thing, come back. I have another one. Go here, place this thing, come back. And there are some rewards that return for that. But anyway, in
3
terms
was
of
like that as well, where basically
that's
the mission
that's
is
RPGs
go here, press E to interact with
Yeah.
whatever object you find. There's going to be some funny dialogue, and then you come back.
Yeah,
And that really is a
that's-
lot of it.
And Skyrim was the same way with their guilds
100%.
because so
100%.
that maintained. But if you're, I basically ran into a wall where I want to keep going with the main quest of the railroad, but to do that and go forward, I have to keep going in the main story.
I see.
So because they're tied together, so it makes sense. It's just like it's a little frustrating because I want to be doing those quests and not the main story quest.
I know,
but
what
I
you mean.
have to do the main story quest to keep doing,
Right.
So but that's that. Again, I've talked endlessly about Fallout 4 on this podcast, and
Hey, that's all good, man. I'm interested to play it, and I've seen really cool things from it. It looks really polished, and that's really nice to see.
yeah, definitely pick it up at some point.
Yeah.
When you have the hardware to
Yeah.
support it.
No, it's all
But-
good. That's also one of those games that I'm not sweating if I don't get to play it for a while, because I had a big break between 3 and New Vegas, and New Vegas was
you'll
old
be fine.
news by the time I got into it, and it was still great.
Wait for the game of the year.
Yeah.
as is always.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I've been doing, and other than that, the only other thing that was on my mind was the Expanse, which
Yes.
I
You showed us the trailer for
I
it.
showed you the trailer for it. Basically, that is a series Sci-Fi is coming out with. The first episode's already been released, and actually this week, I believe, might be next week, the 15th, whenever that is, because I'm terrible with dates, is the official release of the series, or when they start,
Right.
releasing the season. And what it is, it's based on a book series that is currently on its 5th book. I've read 4 of them because I wait for the paperback copy, which comes out a year later.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a series
it
of
really?
books. Yeah.
Is there normally that much of a lag?
I'm
for
not sure.
paperbacks?
I don't know anything about books because these are the
Dang,
only...
man. Yeah, I don't either.
I'm terrible at reading. I'm terrible at, like... Oh, I feel so bad. I feel bad about myself sometimes because there's, like, Chelsea reads a lot, and there's a guy
I've become that
There's
way.
this guy at
where I
church
just
who like reads all, like that's his entertain. Like he reads.
He just
all,
devours books.
He devours books, and he posts things occasionally on Facebook that's like, like reader, like pro reader, anti being anything other than a constant binge reader
Yeah.
thing. So I feel horrible about it. But anyway, it's the only books I've been reading.
You shouldn't. I
And-
can read fast, and I've read a lot of things, and
Yeah.
sometimes you're just like, well, I'm not really getting that much from certain books. I don't know. I've read a lot of good books, but there's a lot of books where I'm like, I spent a lot of time getting through this, and I got nothing back.
But if you want to get something back, you should read the Expanse series, which they are space operas set in the near-ish future, which we basically, I'll give you a quick premise, is that humanity has colonized the solar system. You've got the people who live in the belt, which is actually basically the outer planets. They colonized like Ganymede, Ceres. They dug tunnels and everything into them and have established little colonies there. They live on stations. So they're out in the belt. Then you've got Mars, which was colonized by Texans.
No way. Are you serious?
And Indians, ironically. And they all came out of it looking like Indians but talking like Texans, which is hilarious.
Wait, like Indian peoples from India?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, not like Native Americans, like India. So the Indians
That's
went
awesome.
to and they all have Texas accents.
That's awesome.
And then you have
That
Earth.
sounds
And then
excellent.
it's great. And then you still have Earth. And there's a lot. It's all like kind of political. It starts as like political drama, and there's this tension between all 3 factions, groups of people,
Sure.
and racism is everywhere, and
Yeah,
between the groups, and
space racism.
but the real good thing is how grounded it is in. I want to say at least there is stuff that happens that's definitely like more fantasy, really like out there sci-fi, but in terms of how the universe works, the 2 guys who wrote this, who go by James S.A. Corey, that's their pen name.
Oh, but it's 2 people.
It's 2 people who work together.
Oh, that's
Apparently,
kind of cool.
They started the book series they wrote it because they were doing it as like a D&D type campaign.
Oh, really?
And they just turned it into...
They just kept fleshing it out.
They turned the universe into a book series. And it's like, each book's
That's
like 500
fascinating.
some pages plus, and they're really good books. And it's a really great universe. I love it a lot. And the first episode, they basically Sci-Fi took it and said, this has the potential to bring us away from Sharknado and turn us back towards like this. What they've kept saying
is that where Sharknado ran?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Sci-Fi.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Oh, yeah. Sci-Fi for years has
That's
given us like ice spiders and
yeah, they had some
Sharknado
crazy. I forgot about it.
yeah, it's oh my word, it's ridiculous.
Damn.
But so they basically view this as their Game of Thrones. This is what they want to posit as their highbrow series to still keep themselves in the running as an actual entertainment venue.
Right.
And
yeah, that game's getting more and more competitive now.
It
with
really
so many
is.
people
Netflix,
going to online distribution.
Yeah, online and everything. And this will be distributed online in a way. I don't know where to find it. I do know, though, that if you are interested in this universe, which I will say the thing that hooked me on it was how they handle space travel. Because everything, I could say it's called the Expanse for a reason, because they really handle
the distance
the
between
size of
locations
space as a thing, because
that's cool.
The technology at that point is fusion.
Yeah.
So all the ships have fusion
I don't know anything
drives.
about fusion.
They just have fusion drives. So what it means is that you can power your ship constantly.
Okay.
And what really hooked me was they handled gravity, and that plays a thing where, you know, as a ship, say you're going from point A to B in space, because you've got a fusion drive and basically unlimited fuel, you can burn at a constant acceleration.
How do you have unlimited fuel? How does fusion work?
Well, fusion is basically, it's not unlimited, but fusion is basically, the way they're playing it is that it takes a little pellet and you get so much energy. It's basically like a super reaction. It's splitting.
I see.
Yeah. You get a lot of energy from a little bit of fuel. So you have so much of it that you can basically accelerate constantly towards your target or on that path.
Right.
And then halfway through, you flip around.
And use that to decelerate. I see.
So you get going really, really fast, but the idea is because you're constantly accelerating and how physics work is that creates gravity in the ships. So the ships are built like skyscrapers, essentially.
Right, because your gravity is going to be
thrusters are
pushing
at
you
your
backward.
feet.
Like
Your thrusters are at
G-force.
your feet. So the ships are built like stacked on top of that.
Does G-force just mean gravitational force?
Not necessarily. Yeah, basically. So
this never occurred to me before.
So they get into this whole thing about like, oh, we need to do a heavy burn at like 1 Earth gravity or 2 Earth gravities. And if it starts getting to a super high point, they have these things called crash couches, which inject you with drugs.
Oh,
they like needle you with drugs and everything.
And that's how
keep
you pass
alive
out.
and conscious.
And
even alive in some of the really high G
okay.
maneuvers. So they handle the physics and the travel through space really, really well. And the universe is very grounded in reality. Like you could see this as being through. So anyway, if you're interested at all, the first episode is out.
What is it
you
called
can see
again?
it on The Expanse.
The Expanse. Okay.
The first episode is out. I highly recommend the books, but the first episode.
I don't think I remember they were books. I'm sure you mentioned that when you showed the trailer.
I don't know if I mentioned that, but it is a book series. It's out there. You should look. You should check it out, and you can also check out the first episode, which is available on. I know it's on YouTube. As their pilot to, you know, hey, check this out. This is what we're doing, and it looks it's already sticking very close to the books. It looks great.
That's awesome.
It's high production value, so yeah, I'm super stoked about that.
Yeah.
So now that I've been blabbing for like 20 minutes, what's up with you?
Not too much, honestly. I've been playing around capturing video. That's been working out pretty well, surprisingly.
Yep.
I've been pretty pleased.
So I guess I'll just interrupt you again because that's what you said. What we're going to be doing after this podcast is starting our Let's Play, which we mentioned a while ago that we wanted to do, but we're actually going to do it now.
I guess we did. I forgot about that.
Because you just went out of the blue and told me, hey, dude, I got this capture thing.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you don't have impulse control, so I can have it.
Oh, man.
He does, though. It's just randomly he doesn't.
Randomly it goes away. And this is also something I've been like playing around with for a very, very long time, and I got to a point where I said, you know what, this is something I've been wanting to do, so I should just
very guilty.
Do it. Yeah, I did. I felt horrendous.
But you don't need to because we're going to do stuff with
it. I know. That's really the thing. I did my research before I got the thing, and I
always do your research.
Very pleased with the unit itself.
That's great. What is it called?
It's called an Avermedia Game Capture HD2, which is a company, number one, I've never heard of, and a lot of their documentation is in slightly fudgy English.
Oh, okay. That's
but
good.
it's pretty good. Basically, the thing that I looked at, which is like considered the leader is the Elgato game capture.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, Elgato's great. The issue with an Elgato is you need a fairly powerful computer, or at least a computer with a good amount of RAM or video processing
To keep up with it.
keep up with it. This is a standalone box that basically I just slap a hard drive either inside of, or I plug in a USB 2.0 or higher up to 2 terabytes of storage.
And based on the quality we saw from our test.
Yeah, it does up to 1080p. Yeah.
So, with that all being said, today you and I are going to start our playthrough of Halo Reach.
Yeah.
And we're going to be putting, as much as I forgot to do the intro again, god damn it, we're going to be putting the podcast is going to stay on the Just Interesting Podcast channel, which is pretty much at this point just going to be fully dedicated to the podcast.
Yeah.
However,
I think that's cool.
What we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting the Let's Plays up on your channel.
Yes.
Which is Select Input. Which
Yes.
I love the name.
Thanks, man.
And we're going to...
I'm glad I don't have to make a new channel.
That's going to become our combined Let's Play. You're going to do your own Let's Plays on there. And
yeah.
If I ever
I'm
do Let's
excited
Plays,
to do
we'll do
one
them
together.
there. But we're going to definitely do them together. We'll start with Reach. Hopefully that'll go well. And
Yeah.
we'll just start doing Let's Plays, Let's Gold games. And
Yeah.
probably annoy people because we're going to do split screen instead of System Link.
Yeah, it's one of those things. The only way...
It's easier for us, so deal with it.
Yeah, otherwise, basically, we would need 2 video streams. One from...
That's too complicated.
Yeah, we'd need some kind of video mixer, and I don't have the hardware to do that. And
you've already acquired enough hardware, so
Yeah.
we're just gonna stick with what.
Yeah, no, exactly. This is a pretty low tech way to do it, and
hey, it works.
Yeah,
So
it does.
We're both.
Reach is a fun game, and Reach runs really well too, which helps because a lot of games you run in split screen and they dip hard.
Oh, and
Reach isn't. Let's call it Rich.
So yeah, we're going to be doing that after this
Works
today.
around.
So I will put there will be a link in the description of this video for this podcast, and actually probably from now on to the Let's Play channel. Select Input because it's lowbrow enough that it'll be a little hard to find just by searching.
I did.
So,
After I made the channel, I looked for another Select Input. I found one guy that's made like 3 videos, and I was like, I just gotta outdo this one guy.
We'll outdo it with a full Let's Play of Reach. We'll outdo that with just with the number of videos. But I will link that in the description of this video and probably most future podcasts. But
I'm stoked, man.
It's
gonna be fun.
Yeah, dude, I'm so excited. So the only other thing I wanted to say was I want to start just asking you guys what you want us to talk about.
Absolutely.
So,
or anything you want us to play.
Because Google is trying to slowly take over the world, our channel is tied to a Gmail account.
Don't say anything bad about Google.
I won't say anything. Oh yeah, and this is the last over here of us. Yeah, our podcast, our YouTube
the
channel.
Street View car screeches up outside. We just get black bags on the head.
You'll never hear this podcast. You can email us at justinterestingpodcast@gmail.com and just ask us, hey, do you guys, what do you think about this? Do you want us to talk about a subject, a game, a topic? If we know it, we'll talk about it. If not, we might still talk about it.
If we don't, we'll lie. Don't trust
So yeah, send your questions to justinterestingpodcast@gmail.com. I said it again, so you can know.
I forgot we had an email.
Yeah, questions or things you want us to talk about or games you might want us to play. And yeah.
I tried to stab that boy.
You tried to stab that boy.
I goofed up so bad.
The sack-headed man with the French hat.
Oh boy.
I'm sure there's a name for that, but I'm going to call it French hat.
Yeah, I have no idea.
It's a beret, you idiots.
I guess it is a beret. It looks extra pointy. You know what I mean?
French hat.
It's a beret.
French hat.
French hat.
I hate you both.
French hat. French is mustard. All right. I'm sorry. Anyway, yeah. So I've been James.
I've been Isaac, and this has been the Just Interesting Podcast.
Fantastic. Don't sue us.